Hello, everybody. This is Jim Feist in Las Vegas with a Vegas update. I'm going to take a look at the NBA lines for Thursday, April 19th, 2018. Philadelphia is at Miami. Miami opened a 1-point favorite. 216 is the total, or was the total, I should say. Now Philadelphia is 1 or 1.5, and there's one place offshore that has -2, and the 216 is still 216. Portland goes to New Orleans. Portland is down, of course, two games here. They lost both games at home. The Pelicans opened a 3-point favorite, 216. The totals come down to 214.5. That's mostly painted across the board. There's one at 215. But the 3.5 is now 3.5 or 4. So we've had a little movement on the under and on the home favorite. And in the first game was Philadelphia's getting movement, no movement on the total. Golden State goes to San Antonio. Popovich will not coach due to the death of his wife. Unfortunate, sad there. Golden State opened 3.5. It's 4. I do see a 4.5 out there, but that's not very frequent. That's mostly 4. And the total is 206 with a little 205.5. So we've seen some under money there, and we've seen some Golden State money as well. And frankly, in the first two games, Golden State seemed to be the superior team. I'd like to take the San Antonio Spurs there personally, but that may not work. This team is depleted, and they've had some issues with players all year. And Kyrie and all that, and now the Popovich issue. You don't know how that's going to play out. Emotional things can go either way. So that's a tough game. I just don't see much chance for San Antonio to extend the series. If they got one game out of the series, that'd be about it for me. If it went 5, it would be about it. But I'm not even sure that can happen. Tomorrow, Friday, April 20th, Cleveland and Indiana. Indiana opened 2 and 208.5. The 208.5s are a lot of 209s out there right now, but the game is pretty much 1. Indiana 1. There's some pick'ems, and it's actually 1 on either side pick'em, so choose your poison there. It depends on where you go, what number you're going to get. Toronto goes to Washington. I was shocked that Washington came out and gave up 44 points in the first quarter in their last game after being down 1-0, and it just didn't come out ready to play at all. Now, Toronto's a good team, so any team can get hot and do that, but I was a little shocked at their lack of discipline and the effort that they put up. But they came back, they fought back, they made it close, so I'll give them credit for that. Toronto is at Washington. Washington opened 1. It's 1.5 or 2. That's Washington is the favorite. And the total is 218, and that's pretty painted across the board. And in Boston at Milwaukee 6.5, 203. And the 203 is 203. Still 203, 202.5. I see one place that has 203.5, so it's kind of middle of the road there, but a 6 is everywhere. The line has come down a little bit. Some money came in on Boston. Saturday, there are 2 games on the board already. Houston at Minnesota. Houston opened 3.5. It's up to 4.5 or 5. Minnesota, and the total is 213, and that's also gone up to 214 or 214.5. Oklahoma City goes to Utah. Utah opens 4.5, 207. It's 4 now. Utah is 4, and the 207 is painted across the board as well. So there you have it with the updates. Tonight, it's really going to come down to, in Game 1, Philadelphia and Miami. Miami won the first half. And then Philadelphia crushed them in the second half with that 130 points. They scored 74 points in the second half. That can't be done against a good defensive ball club. And I don't know. Granted, Philadelphia hit a ton of threes that day, high percentage. They didn't do that in Game 2. Now, was that the defense of Miami, or was that just a cold shooting night? On the road, Miami is, they're going to be tougher for Philadelphia at home. But Dwayne Wade was the real story in Game 2. 38-year-old came out there and just took over the game. He showed the kids, and I'm talking about the Philadelphia kids. They're young. It's a young team. They have a great team, great future there. And but Dwayne Wade, classy guy, been around a long time, knows all the ropes, did a heck of a job. If Dwayne Wade can play like that, or even 70% of what he did the other night, it's going to be tough to beat Miami in this series. But can you depend on a 38-year-old to be able to put games together like that? It's doubtful because, he hasn't been able to do that recently. But I'm not going to rule it out. It's possible. But this is going to, in-game wagering is possible too. If you can have that available to yourself, it might be worth it watching these and playing some in-game bets. Portland looked totally outclassed in New Orleans in their first 2 games. They lost at home 2 games, and they really weren't. The first game was a little close. The second game wasn't. They're really having trouble stopping Davis, and their guards have to do a big job for Portland, and it's going to be tough. But they can keep this close, and they might even pull an upset. This is definitely not a series where you figured either team was going to sweep it. So you might see some action on the dog there later. Golden State, like I talked about before, they're just too good. And San Antonio's had a lot of drama this year. It's going to be tough for San Antonio. They might get emotionally up for one and make it close, and they might steal it straight up. I'm not going to be playing that. Interesting, but we'll get back and have more conversation about the NBA again tomorrow.